Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Courtney Morey. I traveled here from Aledo, Texas to share with you as a mother what the last 18 months have been like advocating for our daughter Annie. Annie is 4 years old and has Down syndrome. She is the best thing that we never knew we needed. She has opened up our lives to a world of joy. But with this also comes a world of unexpected battles because of discrimination. When our children turn 3 years old, they have access to education and therapies with their local school district. Even though it is evident Annie has a disability because of her very genetic makeup, all students still must go through an evaluation process to qualify. I specifically asked the diagnostician who would test her about IQ tests in our initial call. Parents are becoming more informed that IQ tests at this toddler age can result in inaccurate scores that make our children appear less able to learn alongside their typical peers, and this score follows them. One of the main problems is that the IQ test requires verbal answers, and Annie does have a speech delay, but this test would be hard for any 3-year-old to perform. Also, where else in society are we IQ testing people? And so antiquated. My husband and I did not want this for Annie. We don't want her segregated from her typical peers by an unfair test. We asked the diagnostician if we could do a different type of cognitive test, a play-based test appropriate for toddlers. The diagnostician strongly agreed and told us this was best practice. We were relieved. However, when we got Annie's evaluation consent paperwork, to my surprise, the IQ tests were listed. The director of SPED found out about our direct wishes and strong-armed us, overriding her own diagnostician. IDEA federal law mandates meaningful parent participation in all stages of special education. Our rights as parents were stripped away. You must know that we went to every single person at every level trying to work with the district. There was no working with them. Because I signed the document agreeing to everything except crossing out the IQ test, we were sent a letter of dismissal from the district for Annie. They told us, quote, "We cannot possibly determine if your daughter has a disability without this IQ test." These administrators know that Annie has a disability. They know she qualifies. It was then that we learned about due process. We were shocked that these judges or hearing officers are not elected or appointed officials, but paid employees of the state. The price of the lawyer was daunting, and he warned us that it is a biased system, and he doesn't always recommend this route, but for this particular situation, he did. Due process was a miserable experience. Walsh and Gallegos pulled every trick in the book to run up our bill, subpoenaing all forms of communication between me and SPED parents in Aledo, text messages, voicemails, emails, etc. They also wanted the same between me and my husband. Just more work for our lawyer to handle. Of course, this was thrown out, but it was an additional expense to our family. A month later, the hearing officer ruled in favor of the district. She also ruled that Aledo had set a set number of days to move forward with the evaluation, and they could do whatever test on Annie they wished. To this day, we have never heard from the district to test Annie. What does this tell you? This is about so much more than a test. This is about overreach. This never should have been a lawsuit at all. Do you know who does not have excess time to fight with school districts? Parents of children with disabilities. I want to be spending these precious years just being Annie and her brother's mom. I cannot tell you how much time I have sacrificed that I wish I never had to. Do you know who does not have extra discretionary income to spend on lawyers? Parents of children with disabilities. We pay NICU bills, therapy bills, special equipment, medications. It cost our family $25,000 just for due process. Then I suppose we also paid to fight ourselves with our own tax dollars going towards the school's representation. Annie's case was presented to a large law firm, and after an arduous process, they took it on pro bono to be appealed at the federal level in the Northern District.
I am Jeremiah Stoker. I am from Aledo, Texas. I testified today on April 29th for Senate Bill 111. I'm a father of 3 children, 2 of which are enrolled in the high school at the Aledo Independent School District. I am watching my tax dollars being washed down the drain, frankly, for fights against the families who have children with disabilities that should not be happening. My school district, chiefly our special education director, who is 100% backed by our superintendent, is trying to make examples of these families by, in effect, showing them that they can deny them their free appropriate public education, which goes by the acronym FAPE, with immunity and with litigation without limits. If there was increased transparency and the people of my community knew about the tens of thousands of dollars that my school district is wasting on Walsh Gallegos to fight these families who have children with special needs, and if they knew of the most basic fundamental things that these families are requesting, be it an additional 15 minutes a day of academic inclusion, or even the opportunity to be included in extracurricular activities, such as cheerleading, or to get speech therapy, I would guarantee you that there would be positive change in my district in a very short amount of time. The pressure of my community would demand it because we have a slogan in Aledo that we adhere to, growing greatness. It is an understatement to say that there's a lack of transparency in my school district regarding this specific topic. The special education community is already a minority pocket in the community. They need help, and you have the ability to make this happen by passing Senate Bill 111. Listen, the last thing that these parents want to do is struggle through the legal battles with the school district. They already carry a heavy burden as it is. I implore you to let the gravity of the testimonies provided by these very special parents who are testifying after me and before me grab your hearts. If you don't already know, then you will know after they have spoken for Senate Bill 111 that passing this bill is the right thing to do. The special education experts and advocates that are brought in to help these families are providing their expert opinions. Cannot believe how blatantly the special education director is denying these families just and rightful requests that are backed by 40 years of science. Do you know that in some of the ARD meetings, which are governed by federal law, that the special education teacher that works with the actual students is not permitted to speak, which, by the way, is illegal? I have seen it for myself. When the parent or advocate asks for the teacher to speak about their child instead of the special education director, who has no experience with the child, to ask how their child is doing, to ask how they are progressing, etc., there is dead silence. When the parent or advocate asks the special education teacher if they are not permitted to speak, no one in the ARD meeting answers the question. Instead, the Walsh Gallegos lawyer in the meeting, and yes, the school district is bringing lawyers into these meetings, even when the parents are not. Walsh Gallegos, who represents the school district, who is watching the IDA laws being broke before their very eyes, steamroll the meeting, even continuing the ARD meetings once it has become a disagreed ARD. Senate Bill 111 will help to end this lawlessness and force the school districts to work with these parents. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to contact me.
Senator King.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Ms. Morey and Mr. Stoker. And I apologize for being here a little bit late. I had two other committees meeting, and one of them was voting. I had to go there and vote. But I've been keeping up with I just learned of it recently. And I wanted you to know, I have two grandchildren with Downs that are both in a Parker County school district. And they've had a pretty good experience. And I'm very disturbed about the one that you're going through right now. And I'd like to visit with you privately outside of here sometime to talk through that soon. But I just want to thank you all both very, very much. I agree completely this needs to be posted. It isn't just school districts that do this. They always know they've got the money to outspend you, whatever the government agency is. And if they want to take advantage of that, they will, they know they can outlast you and outspend you, and you'll go away. And then often they're getting funds from other sources to help with that as well. But this is exceptionally disturbing. I really appreciate Senator Hall bringing this legislation. And I look forward to helping him on it. But thank you for coming all the way down. I'm sorry you had to wait all day. That's just kind of the way it is down here, and we never know when your bill's going to come up until they come up. So, but thank you very much, and I really would like to visit with you at great length and see what I can do to help in that.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Carol Karen, and I'm a parent. I'm in support of this bill because I know firsthand that we desperately need more transparency in our schools. My daughter Ellie is in 4th grade at Aledo ISD, and she also has Down syndrome. Despite her disability, Ellie really enjoys to learn and be social, and she loves to be in class with her peers. With this said, it was heartbreaking this year to learn that my daughter is actually in the most restrictive environment at school. Aledo ISD has coded my child as the most disabled in order to get the most funding, and yet they have provided the least amount of resources. Sorry. She has not been allowed to learn about Texas history or other subjects with her classmates. She's not getting meaningful inclusion. When I realized this was happening, I immediately asked for an ARD committee meeting and sought changes. Aledo ISD has ignored all of my suggestions and pleas for change and has continued to keep my child in the most restrictive placement. They have also inserted their attorney into my meetings while I'm unrepresented. Over the last 6 months, Aledo ISD has spent tens of thousands, and I mean tens of thousands of dollars, just to keep my child out of a general education classroom. Ellie deserves to learn, and I should not have to sue the school district to make them do what is right and expected. So I hope you guys will consider this bill.
Thank you for your testimony. You may begin. Please pull that microphone close to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Chairman, members, my name is Theresa Lohman, and I am from Aledo, Texas. I am here today as a parent who has personally experienced disappointing consequences of unchecked legal spending by school districts. I speak today in strong support of the Senate Bill 111, which brings much needed transparency and accountability to this broken system. My son is a senior in high school. His name is Johan Summers. He happens to have Down syndrome. It's outrageous, bordering on criminal, that the district has squandered $30,000 fighting against our family instead of simply doing what was free and morally right for our son. I'm not a CPA, but after reviewing the district's check registers posted on their own website, I was shocked to uncover over $1 million has been spent on legal fees and settlements. Let me just share one example. All we asked was for our opportunity for our son to be fully included with his peers. The district response was to create an antiquated, separate but equal team, and it was denied essential equipment like raincoats that we pay for as parents. The district denied our son and his team access to 34 out of 35 high school games, isolating his peers. True inclusion means access, not exclusion, masked as opportunity. On that game that we went to, it rained. We had no raincoats. Tell me how this is Aledo, Texas, when they say they are growing greatness. When a system fights harder against families, it fights for its children. It has already lost its way. Thank you.
Senator King.
Yeah, thank you. And back to Aledo for a minute. So can you tell me about, you said games were missed, they couldn't get access to games?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what happened?
So a separate team was created for my son and his peers, and out of the 35 high school games, we were only allowed access to one game. At that one game, we did not have raincoats.
Okay, so when you say was that all within Aledo ISD
Yes, sir.
team? Okay,
That's 9th through 12th grade.
okay.
They could have had access to be at that game, to participate with their peers.
And, okay, I'm still kind of lost. I'll tell you what, let's talk about that afterwards. I want to get all the details on
Yes,
that, make
sir.
sure I understand. I won't take up the committee's time, but, so I guess it was probably about 15 years ago. I remember when we voted and required school districts to start posting their check registry because of transparency issues like this. And I also want to say the chairman and carried and passed out a bill in the last week or so that it was the school choice bill, and part of it was to provide funding for children with disabilities in case their parents decided, hey, rather than be in a public school, we would rather go to a different type of option. But there's also wonderful things that are available at our public schools that may not be available in other settings, particularly if we live kind of out in a suburban or rural area like in Parker County. So I just want to tell you, I want to learn more about your story, so we're going to reach out some more. I can tell you, and I'll get in trouble for saying this, but I have about 50 school districts, and I have more people call me raising concerns or complaints about Aledo ISD than all of my other school districts combined.
Wow.
And I know there's a lot of wonderful people and a lot of wonderful teachers and a lot of wonderful other folks at Aledo ISD, but that is a fact. I get more calls than all the other school districts combined, and that includes Arlington, Fort Worth, and all the way out to Brownwood. So thank you for coming down. I know it's a hard day when you do, and just appreciate you being here. And by the way, Aledo's doing a lot of great stuff, but I hear stories like this, and it is exceptionally, exceptionally disturbing.